Everyone knows the story of Adam and Eve, right? Two people, one apple, one snake, and a whole lot of shame. But what about the time God turned a man into a donkey? Or when humans were tasked to build a tower so tall it reached the heavens? Welcome to my channel. And today we're diving into the bizarre with 7 Bible tales you won't believe actually exist. Number 7. The Tower of Babel. You know that feeling when you're rebuilding a Lego tower and your little brother comes along and knocks it over just to be a jerk? Well, imagine if you were an ancient Mesopotamian attempting to build a tower to reach the heavens, and God was your little brother. In the book of Genesis, humanity is described as having one language, and they're all gathered together in the plains of Shinar, which according to history likely refers to the area around the lower reaches of the Euphrates River. And they're like, hey, let us build a city and a tower so tall that its top will reach up to the heavens. They're off to the races. Building with bricks and using bitumen, a type of ancient asphalt, they construct the tower. But their success angers God, who then proceeds to confuse their language, so that they can no longer understand each other. This is supposedly the origin of the many languages of the world and the reason we coo and all get along. Just kidding, maybe. Number 6. The woman who circumvented a curse. So God created Adam and Eve and put them in the Garden of Eden, where they were basically like the original caretakers, keeping things nice and tidy. But they weren't supposed to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because God said do'nt, which is like telling a toddler not to touch a hot stove. They shouldn't have listened, but they did. And when they ate the forbidden fruit, God cursed them. For Adam, he would toil the ground from which he was made until death. For Eve, he said, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With each child, you will have more pain, but your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. Ouch. That sounds like a bad Yelp review. But Eve wasn't having it. She was like, you know what? Fine. But at least I got this cool talking serpent power now. Yeah, about that. God also cursed the serpent, which you may have heard. And all the descendants of serpents were cursed to crawl on their bellies and eat dust all their lives. But Eve was like, hold up. I used to be able to talk, but now this talking snake thing is cursed to crawl. It sounds pretty unfair.
How so?
She goes straight to God and asks him to undo the curse on snakes, which he does. But she doesn't stop there. No, ma'am. She goes to the cursed serpent and tells it that its curse has been lifted, but then she hits it with a little bonus curse of her own. Now, you will crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life. See, if you're going to curse someone, you got to do it right. Number 5. Noah and the flood. You know, some people say the world is flat. Some people say the world is a globe. But everyone knows that once upon a time the entire world was underwater, at least according to the Bible. There are stories of great floods throughout many different cultures, but the story of Noah's Ark is one of the most well-known. In the book of Genesis, God is once again super annoyed with humanity. It's likely because they were using all those extra languages they got from the Tower of Babel incident to yell at each other even more. So God decides to wipe them out with a massive flood. But he gives Noah, who's a righteous dude, some major props and warns him about the impending doom. God instructs Noah to build an ark, which is basically a giant boat, and fill it with pairs of animals so that they can procreate after the flood. And after 40 days and nights of rain, the floodwaters recede and Noah and the animals come out to a much emptier world. It's assumed that only 8 people survived the flood. Noah and his family, and maybe some of those animals too. Imagine you're Balaam, a prophet who's been hired to curse Israel. But every time you try, your mouth just won't cooperate. Instead, you end up blessing the people. Seriously, the guy even has a talking donkey. In Numbers, chapter 22, verse 28, God is pissed at the Israelites and sends a prophet named Balaam to curse them. But on the way, God doesn't feel like a total jerk, so he sends an angel to stand in Balaam's path and block his way. But Balaam keeps going, and the angel makes the donkey he's riding on talk to him. Yep, you heard that right. The donkey asks Balaam, "Are you kidding me? You've been trying to kill me for an hour?" So yeah, there's nothing like a talking animal to put some respect in your step. Number 3, Sodom and Gomorrah. These 2 cities are often mentioned in the same breath because they met the same pretty terrible fate, were both destroyed by God. In Genesis, chapters 18 and 19, God is hanging out with Abraham and tells him that he's gone not destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because their sin is so unbelievably egregious, and their sin was basically being jerks to angels. Not like regular angels, mind you, but 3 angels disguised as men who came to visit Lot, who was living in the city of Sodom. They were all like, "Hey, let's go hang out in the city square and have some fun." And then a bunch of Sodomites surround the house, demanding the angels come out so they can do stuff to them. So the angels save Lot and his family at the last second, before God turns the city into a literal lake of fire and brimstone. Number 2, David and Goliath. We've all faced bullies in our lives. Maybe it was the big kid who always took your lunch money, or the teacher who always picked on you for being bad at kickball. Sometimes it can seem like David and Goliath was a story made up by adults to teach kids that bullies are bad. Boy, would that be wrong. This tale is found in the book of 1 Samuel. It's actually way more intense than a playground fight. There's a battle between Israel and the Philistines, and their champion, Goliath, is a total badass. He's a giant who's armed with bronze armor and carries a spear that's like the size of a telephone pole. And he's taunting the Israelites to send someone to fight him one-on-one. But everyone's scared of Goliath until David, a young shepherd, steps up to the plate. Armed with only a sling and 5 stones, he takes on the giant and uses his wits and skill to defeat him. Number 1, Daniel in the lion's den. If you were put in charge of feeding the lions at the local zoo, would you skip the feeding to prove that God was protecting you? Probably not. But that's exactly what Daniel does in the book of Daniel. Chapter 6. Daniel is a dude who refuses to bow down to the golden statue of King Darius the Mede. So Darius throws him in the lion's den to make an example of him. But when he doesn't see Daniel get eaten, he gets super confused. And in the morning he's like, "Hey Daniel, why aren't you dead yet?" Daniel's all, "I don't know, maybe because my God is protecting me." And sure enough, Daniel's totally fine, but the lions, well, not so much. Those are 7 Bible tales you won't believe actually exist. Do you know any obscure biblical stories that should be better known? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and take the quiz to see how well you know these crazy stories.